Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio, the multi-award-winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
With Leo Varadkar smirking and smiling, talking to Stephen Donnelly. This was at a meeting during the week where they were talking about the abortion legislation, and they were talking about changing it or the possibility of changing it. Leo Varadkar doesn't seem too up for the idea. Anyway, last week we discussed abortion and whether or not doctors and medical staff have a right to conscientious objection. Now the conversation has shifted slightly from that. And in Ireland, 11 of 19 maternity hospitals are currently only providing abortion services, according to the Health Minister, Stephen Donnelly, and he wants to see that being increased. He said we have a very mixed reaction. Now, we did have a mixed reaction to that question, and a lot of you went back and re-listened to the podcasts on it, which, of course, is up on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio website, Spotify, Apple, and all the other places as well, under the Nighttime Talk. But anyway, today, ministers looked at recommendations from a review into Ireland's abortion laws. Among the recommendations is that the 3-day wait period, which was introduced in Ireland when the legislation was brought forward, from a GP visit until the termination can actually be carried out, should no longer be necessary. Meaning some people feel that making women wait 3 days to think about whether or not she really wants an abortion is unnecessary. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar expressed his reluctance to make any major changes to Ireland's abortion legislation, saying that its safeguards, like the 3-day wait period, were what people actually voted for. Now, I think the point he's making there is it's a little bit too soon to even think about this. We've only had the referendum a short while ago. When we asked people to repeal the Eighth Amendment, we did say to them, will you repeal the Eighth Amendment? We will put this legislation in. And that's what people voted for. At least that's what they thought they voted for. That's not actually what they voted for. What they voted for was to repeal the Eighth Amendment. Any government can change any piece of legislation they want at any time now because the Eighth Amendment has gone out of our Constitution. But you should have all thought of that when you were voting. Anyway, what I want to know is, do you think we should get rid of the 3-day wait time? Is it an insult to women to suggest they don't actually know what they want? As if someone who presents for an abortion or a termination hasn't thought about it very carefully. And it's not really what they need, or is it a good idea? An abortion, of course, is a very serious consideration and thing, isn't it? Surely we should make sure it is done after careful consideration. So what do you think? Should we get rid of the 3-day wait period for having an abortion in Ireland? As I said, the argument for it is that it gives women a little bit of time, a breathing space, rather than making a knee-jerk reaction decision. The argument against it is that, well, by saying you have to wait 3 days, we're saying women are stupid and can't make their own decisions. Statistics will show that a wait period introduced does make people change their mind because it lets them think about other options sometimes. They won't always change their mind, but it gives them a little bit of thinking time to change their mind. Should the 3-day wait period be got rid of? As you know, the usual politicians, the lefties are out there telling us to get rid of it, and the righties are saying don't get rid of it. What do you think? Amy, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Amy?
How's it going? Good evening.
Good. Amy, now, I'm reading on my screen here, it says, Amy thinks the 3-day waiting period is condescending. So does that suggest that women are stupid and they're not capable of making decisions? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just think it's not taken into account, I guess, the reasons why some women would be looking for an abortion. You know what I mean? It's very easy to say, oh, you could change your mind. But again, at least from the friends that I know, they were very, very sure in their decision, and they personally felt like as if it was very condescending the way that they were being spoken to about the 3-day wait, of like almost questioning their decision when they'd already made it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I suppose, and absolutely, and you know, and maybe that's a first reaction by a woman. It's not the right time in her life to have a baby, and she decides, that's it, I'm having a termination. I go to the doctor, and the doctor says you have to wait 3 days. But maybe in that 3 days, there's more consideration given to it, because let's be clear about it. Nobody wants to have an abortion. That's not a target in life. I think I'll have an abortion at some point in my life. It's not something anybody would enjoy doing. But in saying that, maybe that 3 days gives them an option to look at other options and say, well, okay, maybe I'll carry the baby and put it up for adoption, or maybe I'll keep the baby, or maybe there's other options, or maybe I can, you know, put my career on hold for, you know, a year and a half, and mum can mind the baby then when I go back to work. So it might give them time to consider options. But that was the purpose of the 3-day waiting period.
I get you, but I do think, I mean, to be honest, you can clarify to many people of going, are you sure? And if they say yes, I mean, in any other medical area, we don't question someone's
Well, we do. If I went in for a vasectomy, I won't get a vasectomy. If I went into a doctor's office as a walk-in and said, can you give me a vasectomy? They're not going to do it. They will ask me to wait a week, and you have to come back a week later. So the same would go for sterilisation for women. Generally, they will not sterilise somebody under the age of 30 or give a vasectomy under the age of 30, excepting extenuating circumstances. And they will ask you to come back. They won't do it immediately. So there is other procedures where doctors have this kind of code of ethics where they'll say, well, I'm not going to do this immediately. I give the person time to think about this is really what they want.
I get you. I get where you're coming from there. But again, I feel like abortion is such a big thing, I guess. You know, people don't, again, there's just so much controversially around it anyways.
Yeah,
so
I know. Yeah,
people don't make that decision lightly, I guess, compared to a vasectomy or even a hysterectomy. I mean, it's very difficult for women in this country to get a hysterectomy unless it's, as you said, under extreme circumstances, really. And even often, women are often questioned if their future husband would want them to have a vasectomy. But that's going into a whole...
I find that bizarre. I remember doing it. We covered a topic on this about a year or two ago. I think it was about hysterectomies or sterilisation even. And is your husband aware? Should I let him know first? Yeah, yeah, I know. As if it's his choice. It'd be, imagine me going for vasectomy and saying, "Does your wife know now? Is that okay with her?"
Exactly. It's unheard of that way.
But I mean, you are right about abortion. It is a very hot topic, and it divides people.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground on abortion. It's not like any other topic. Yeah. And when we do it here on the radio, it is the most popular topic that we do. From that point of view, from a caller point of view. But you think it's a little bit condescending, and if a woman has made that decision, be it right or wrong, that's her decision, and she shouldn't be kind of made to mull over it for another 3 days.
Exactly. Like, I mean, again, for me, I just don't think the 3 days, again, takes into account what some people have gone through. You know, some people might be going up just because it's not the right time in their life, and they can take it of going, oh, that's an inconvenience, I have to wait 3 days, no problem. That, you know, that's one scenario. But then on the other hand, you have someone that has might possibly been in a situation of sexual assault or domestic violence where time is of the essence to them. And even in a domestic violence situation that one of my friends would have been part of, it was very difficult for her to actually be away from her abuser for long enough to be able to go to those two different appointments, if you get me.
Yeah, I know. I understood. Yeah.
So in those kind of situations, I feel like it is extremely condescending to tell someone, "Are you sure?" Because, again, in situations like that, people are extremely sure of the situation, you know what I mean? So I guess that's where my debate would definitely come from. I can understand to a degree why it is there. Again, I think it's great that some people have reconsidered and found other options. But again, I do think it's just a very blanket kind of rule for everyone, rather than taking into account, again, why some people are even utilising the service. Because, again, abortions are certainly not made in right decisions. Even a woman that simply just doesn't want a child at that point in her life, she can be very heavily stigmatised, even now that it's still legal, of, oh, well, that was a horrible thing that you did. And, again, she's not making that decision just on a whim, you know.
Okay, well, do me a favour, stay there just for a second. Let me go to John. John, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, John?
How you doing, Niall? How you doing, Radio Land?
Good. John, do you believe the 3-day waiting period is... Now, I know you're pro-life, so you're obviously against
indeed.
abortion, but we all...
Absolutely.
But let's be all respectful in this conversation. The point is, in Ireland, currently, at the moment, abortion is legal. Whether you like it or not, John, as a Christian, it is legal, right?
Yeah.
So let's not get into... Okay, but let's not get into the pros and the cons of that, right? But the 3-day waiting period, according to Amy and many other people, it's kind of pointless.
No, it's not, Niall, and I'll tell you why. From a psychological point of view, you have a 3-day, you've always got 72 hours, you have 72 hours there to decide whether it's the right thing for you, both man and woman, not just woman, man and child, by the way. There's 3 people in this equation.
Well, the pregnancy doesn't really have a say in it, whether you like it or not.
Well, the pregnancy should have a say in it. But anyway, now, the fact about it, 72 hours is 3 days for a person, man, woman, and, well, not obviously the child isn't on the side, but the man and woman to sit down and go, is this the right decision for me going forward?
You're making an assumption. You're making an assumption that there's a man involved in the woman's life. The man obviously had to have sex with her to get pregnant in the first place, but you're making an assumption.
But you can't get
but you're making an assumption that he wants to be part of her life. He may not. He may be somebody on a one-night stand, or as Amy said, somebody, for example, she's involved in an abusive relationship. You know, you don't know the circumstances. All
right, whatever the circumstances now, the fact is you have 72, you have 3 days to decide, is this the right thing for you to go ahead? Is an abortion the right thing for you to go ahead with? The fact, psychologically wise, down the road, this could affect you. This could come back and kick you in the arse major. I mean, there's a lot of women out there I've heard, and I'm not being funny when I say this, have had abortions and said, I didn't, you know what, if I could go back now and
Oh, yeah, they've regrets. There's no doubt. Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah,
I would change it.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing. Of course there's women that have had regrets.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd put it the other side where there's plenty of people who have had kids and regret having them.
Yep.
Yeah, of course our argument is there as well, but they don't actually, abort them then. They keep the kids. But the point I'm making is that 3 days is there. That is right for any person to decide whether an abortion is the right process to go forward or not. And that's my reason.
Yeah, but John, you make decisions in your life, and I'm sure people would say to you every now and again, are you sure that's what you want to do? And you go, yeah, I'm sure. So why are we being, as Amy reckons, condescending to women and suggesting that women are too stupid to make a decision? And that, listen, we'll be a good little girl now and go home and have a think about this.
No, that's not the line now.
Well, that's what people are saying about the 3 days.
No, but you see, that's the liberal far left line saying to people now, oh, women are being treated like imbeciles and stupid. Women are not. Women are allowing themselves to be treated like stupid by the liberal far left today. That 3 day period is there for any woman to make the right decision, whether she wants to go forward with an abortion or not. The fact of the matter is the liberal left agenda has pushed this abortion, and now they're pushing, just have it, because we've told you can have it. The fact of the matter is, I'll put it this way to you. If I was a woman today, Niall, I would respect the fact that there's 3 days there more for me to decide whether I really wanted to have an abortion or not. I would respect that, and I would actually keep that.
Okay, sorry, Amy, just to ask you, there's a comment in here, and I'm not going to say this is a fact because I don't know if it's a fact, so I can only assume this person knows what they're talking about, so I don't know whether it's a fact. But it says, Stephen Walsh says on Facebook, no, because 4,000 women changed their minds during the 3 day waiting period, which means 4,000 children are alive today because of it, because those women had the choice to change their minds during that 3 day waiting period. Surely pro-choice supporters agree with giving women the choice, seeing as they're all about choice. If the 3 day waiting period goes and more extreme laws are pushed through, let's put it to another vote and see how people vote. I guarantee you it won't be a yes vote. People didn't vote for extreme abortion services we put in place. Even Varadkar has said it. Well, Leo Varadkar did actually say he's reluctant to change it. But, okay, I don't know if that 4,000 figure is a fact, Amy, but I would assume there is a large amount of women that may change their mind.
To be honest, if that's 4,000 that have regretted it, I've actually, as you're speaking there, I literally looked it up there, and apparently, I mean, in 2021, there was only 4,577 abortions. So is that person telling me that basically 90% of people that had an abortion regret it?
Well, no, that's not what he's saying. So if we take your figure there, what was the figure you just gave me there? Because I don't have it to hand. 2020, what was the figure? Okay, so what he's saying is that if 4,500 went ahead and had a termination of pregnancy, well then 8,500 must have gone to a doctor, and the other 4,000 didn't proceed with it. In other words, what he's saying is that 50% of women, by his suggestion, 50% of women changed their mind.
Yeah.
In that 3 day period. Now, I don't know whether that's a statistical fact, but I can. But I think. Well, hang on, John. I think it would be fair to say, Amy, there's a percentage of women that may change their mind. You know.
Absolutely, and you can't deny that. That's straight up. Absolutely. And again,
so even if it's only 100 women, that's 100 children that exist today because of that 3 day waiting period.
Again, but how many children exist because a parent didn't want it at the time, but they had no choice but to have it?
I agree too.
Yeah.
You know, and some people are just not good enough for parents, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I've personally worked in residential care with kids who are actually in care, and to be honest, it's absolutely devastating. To be honest, and a lot of the kids that I would have actually worked with actually said that if abortion was around, they wish that their parents would have actually aborted them. And that's a horrible thing for a child. Yeah, it's a horrible thing for a child to say about themselves.
I can only imagine how you must feel if your mother or father said, I wish you were aborted. You know? I've
personally had a mother tell me on the phone to go tell her own child to go kill themselves.
Oh, God. Well, parents like that don't deserve children. But well, hang on for a second. Well, hang on, Amy. Let me just go to Malachy if I can as well. Malachy, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Malachy?
Good evening, Niall. Just to clarify the 4,000 figure, and it's just over 4,000. That's the amount of women who went for the initial consultation and didn't come back after the 72 hours since the legislation came in. It's not just for 1 year. So
Okay.
that's over 4,000 children who are alive today.
That's over a 5-year period then.
72 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who
Right,
would not
okay.
be alive if the legislation for 3 days.
Okay, so that's 400 children per year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
No, sorry,
When the
that's all right. Tell a
referendum
lie.
was
It's 800
on-
per year. 800 per year.
we said, those of us who sought to protect the right to life of the unborn, said that as soon as they could, on the next review, they would try and get rid of the 72 hours. The 72 hours was put in to persuade the majority of people who are opposed to abortion in general and opposed to killing children to
Your
bring
words
this
as a
over the
pro-life
line. And
supporter, okay.
well, okay. No, your other caller there, Amy hasn't mentioned the fact that over 6,000, I can't actually remember the exact figure, but the thousands of children that have been killed before they were born.
have been terminated. Pregnancies that have been terminated. Go on. Yeah.
Look, there's a child there and then the child is not there. You know, you can use whatever language you want. And the problem on the pro-life side are the
Pro-choice.
people who seek to protect
Oh.
the rights of the unborn is that we haven't, apart from people like me, haven't used the correct language. I make no bones about saying that there is a child there now and that child is now dead tomorrow. It's not a fetus. It's not, a lump of cells. It's a child. And they
Well, it's
are
an
arguing that it should be
unborn
killed. And the very
child.
same people,
Okay.
the very same people who argue that we should put down children before they're born. They started off saying it was about, children with deformities and all of this, and then it was if you didn't have blue eyes and blonde hair. Now, the very same people, Niall, are the people who are saying that our older people, when they come to the end of their life, when they don't have a life that everybody else wants, when they don't have a life which the liberal left sees as productive, that they should be put down.
That not
The same
then
people
nobody is suggesting people should be put down. People are talking about euthanasia, which would have to be by consent,
if you
Malachy.
take-
I'm not going to
if
go
you-
and say me
hold
mother's
on,
no
hold
use
on,
anymore. Can you
hold
put her down, please? That's not what euthanasia is
think
about.
Well, then tell me where we are with abortion and the murder of unborn children. I don't want that child. It's inconvenient. I have a career. I don't want that to be interrupted. So get rid of the child.
Malachy, you're a man of the law. You're well aware that the Supreme Court decided that the unborn child doesn't have any rights.
Well, I'm glad you're at least referring to it as an unborn child now, because
Well, I
the
didn't
left
refer
would
to it
have
as anything else. I have
Well, the
never
left
referred
would
to it
have
as
a-
a fetus or a bunch of cells.
Yes, but the left and particularly the liberal left would have us think that it's just a bunch of cells lying around the place. That is not a child, not a sentient being. Which those of us who will look at the medical aspects of this will see that it is a child. But the point I was making then, that there's very same people who told us that abortion would be rare and limited and all of these things in order to get this passed, and it would only be used in extreme cases, and that the 72 hours would be there as a protection. We said that immediately the review comes up in 5 years, which it has now come up. And remember, in the review, the only people they talked to were people who support abortion. They didn't ask anybody who doesn't support abortion what their opinion is. And all of these reviews...
Well, what would be the point? Hang on. What would be the point in asking you, as a pro-lifer, about changes to the current legislation when you don't agree with any of the legislation in the first place?
Well, firstly, Niall, a review is to see what the process is, whether it's working right. Now, if 4,000 people, 4,000 women, and although the liberal left would have us believe that it can be men as well, because they can't even define what a woman is, but 4,000 women went... I think the glitches are gone.
Stick to the point, Malik, if you can. Go on.
Yeah, 4,000 women went for the first appointment and didn't come back after the 72 hours in 5 years. That's 4,000 children that are alive today who would not be alive if that 72 hours was not there. So surely somebody should have been discussing and saying, well, maybe this is a good thing, rather than come back with the predetermined outcome, which was set from the very beginning, before this referendum even took place, was that the 72 hours would go. Now, remember that the very same people who argued that abortion would be limited and rare and would be in extreme cases, now we see it's if you don't have blonde hair and blue
Okay,
eyes.
you made that point. Okay, you made a point.
Well,
Amy,
the
well, hang
same
on,
people-
because I don't
the
know.
same
I don't
people
want to
now-
get into the pros and cons of abortion, but that's not what the debate is about. Whether you like it or not, Malachy, even though you're pro-life, the legislation is there anyway. We're focusing on the 3 days. And Amy, I'm getting back to the point that Malachy's making again, that our Facebook commenter made as well online. That's 4,000 children alive today, 800 per year roughly. They're alive today because of that 3-day wait period. Should that have been taken into consideration, Amy?
I mean, it's great that those women have changed their minds, like fair enough. But to be honest, again, I just kind of see it as, look, you can take a couple of days anyways to, decide. It's just kind of this, it's the fact that it's mandatory to me is, again, putting it back on people of questioning their decision of coming forward. 4,000 out of the amount that have had abortion over the past, 4 years since this came in, is far more than those who have regretted it. And again, we're concerned about those 4,000 children who are now alive. Again, fantastic. But I'll put it back on the other listener there of, what about the kids who have been born who weren't wanted, who have now been thrown in a system that doesn't care about them? What about the kids who are actually alive and breathing right now, who have the feelings, who have the thoughts? We don't have any, we don't care about them.
You see, hold on. I do care about them, and I fight for those kids every day of the week. But the logic of what you're saying then is that no children should be born on the basis that some of them might end up in difficult situations or their parents mightn't want them. But if I go under consumer legislation and take out an insurance policy tomorrow on my life or my wife's life or somebody else's life, I have 10 days.
I just don't see the point.
Come back. Hold on.
I don't see the point in bringing into a child that's not wanted.
I have 10 days to come back and say, I don't want that policy. If I settle a case tomorrow in a personal injury matter, the client has 10 days of a 10-day period.
Cooling off period, yes.
Cooling off period to say, oh, I don't want that, right? So why is it so extreme and so hated by those who want abortion on demand to say that somebody who's making a life-changing decision for themselves and a totally life-changing decision for the child in their womb, that they shouldn't wait 72 hours?
I think, again, forcing someone to have a child that they don't want, that's very unfair of the child that's coming into this world.
Your argument about children being born into difficult circumstances, that means right throughout, for instance, the whole African continent, there should be no children born. Basically what you're saying is that working class people or people on lower socio-economic groupings shouldn't have children.
No, I never said that at all.
Well, just as a point of correction, not everybody on the African continent, by the way, is in that category, Malachy, you're talking about. There are a large number of people, of course, living in third world situations. Yes.
Well, if you were to listen to Troker and all these other groupings who make a fortune out of people, they would tell us that everybody in the African continent
but that's not true, obviously.
To give the penny for the black babies. But the fact is that what your caller is saying is that people who don't have a good social interconnection in society or aren't far enough up the social ladder to be responsible parents, then they shouldn't have children. So basically,
not fair on some
they're
parents
working.
who really struggle.
I mean, Amy, I do understand the point that Malik is making to some degree, and I also understand your point too in relation
I get
to
where he's making,
and I often ask myself during the referendum, the people that were out campaigning for pro-life, where are they? Where children who are living and breathing are going through difficulties, why are they fighting for them? And that is an argument, but there is a level, Amy, of whataboutery in that argument. In other words, we can only deal with one thing at a time. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and again, I think just in general, it's unfair for a child to be bought in this world if it wasn't wanted in the first place. And to give women the option to allow a child to not be put in a situation where a parent is going to resent them for being alive, basically, I think it's such a horrible thing for a child to be put through, no matter what age they are, no matter what situation
Let me give you another scenario. A child is born into perfect circumstances, and the family encounters some difficulties when the child is 7 or 8 maybe. They've no money. One of them ends up on drugs or on alcohol or something like that. You put the child down then.
Stay there for a second, and again, that's your wording, Malachy, as pro-life. Well, hang on for a second. Stay there. Let me just go to Fergal as well. Fergal, you're an Ireland's classic. How do you do, Fergal?
Hello, how's it going?
Fergal, let's focus on the 3-day waiting period and whether it should be got rid of or abolished. Do you believe it should be?
No, absolutely not. My experience, my partner, I met my partner 90 years ago, and basically having unprotected sex, she got pregnant pretty quick after we met. and she already had a child who was 3 at the time, and she got
before you go into the story any further, is your partner, has she already made a public knowledge her experience?
Has she made public?
Whatever experience you're going to share with us in relation to your partner, has she already made that public knowledge? Are people aware of it? You're not sharing a secret on the air.
Yes. No, not
Okay.
at all. No,
Okay.
it's a very open.
Okay, fair enough.
I guess I'm talking about it from the Irishness of it, yeah, from the upbringing of a society that's quite not open about it at that
continue
time.
with
Yeah.
the story then. Continue with the story.
Yeah. Okay. And so then she asked me if I wanted to have the child together, and I was of course, I was like, yes, absolutely, I'll support you as much as I can. But she had really made a decision in her mind that it would be too difficult for her at that time. We didn't have a strong relationship. We didn't really have a plan together in our life when we met, and to not know each other very well, and to suddenly to make this rash decision to have a child together, she was making the decision that wasn't correct for her. That was her decision. It wasn't my decision, yet still I supported her. Now there was a time gap in between. We had to go outside of Ireland for the abortion. And for her, every step of the way I asked her, are you sure, are you okay? You still have time. And she was determined that she was going through with it. The result for her afterwards was so horrendous for her psychologically and physiologically. And for myself as well, in the psychological repercussions that you don't have any clue that they are there, that you think you can handle it and you can deal with it. They will come up in your life and they will haunt you for a part of a number of years. They will just haunt you. It'll just be there until you come to a place in your own thinking that can
deal with it.
That it's not a dealing. You come to peace with it. It's a peacemaking agreement that you come to with your own mind. Yeah.
And Fergal, most people, or a lot of people, certainly will have those feelings and those thoughts that you talk about. But there are many women who don't have any regrets, and it's a decision they make quite consciously, and they don't feel like that. So everybody has a different experience.
I think that's a lie.
Well, that's your belief.
I think that's a hidden lie, because
are you telling me that every single woman that has an abortion regrets it?
You can't say every single woman, but
I wouldn't believe that.
There are mental health issues.
Absolutely. I'm not. By the way, I'm not suggesting both of you that there isn't mental health issues attached to terminating a pregnancy. Of course, there is for some people, but not for everybody.
No, Niall, can I just say one thing? Sorry.
Kill her own child.
Sorry, one at a time. Sorry, Fergal.
It's not natural.
Okay, I know.
Yes,
Malik, I know you're feeling it.
Health issues.
Okay.
Down the road.
Let Fergal finish. Let Fergal finish what he's saying.
By the liberal left.
So there's a fundamental humanness that we share, which is love, and love isn't something that we control. Love is something that, my understanding of it, it's within nature itself. It's almost like creation. It is creation in a way, and that's something that is automatically, I think, grows within the being when new life comes in. Now, the trauma of how that being got into the woman, whether it was through a rape or the traumatic experience of it, that's a whole different experience, because the woman herself has a thinking process that's producing, whether it's fear, whether it's anxiety, whether it's hatred. This is just a thinking process in the brain. It's just a thought. But love itself doesn't have a thought. Love is beyond thought. And we're just forgetting that every woman has to be supported in a mental health area. I mean,
Well, I
mean,
could equally
basically-
argue. Well, hang on, Fergal. I could equally argue that there are women out there who have a pregnancy who don't want that pregnancy because A, it may not be the right time in their life or whatever it happens to be, and they want to terminate that pregnancy. And equally, hang on, going through that pregnancy for some women will cause them mental health problems.
Well, they
There's
can make
very
the choice.
li-
They
no,
can make the
there's very
choice, but
little
just to
research to show that that's the case.
Oh, well, I'm just
Right.
saying, Malachy, there is the opposing view on it. I understand both of you. Hang on for a second, please. Both of you are coming from a pro-life point of view.
The vast majority of women who have children do not have mental effects from having that child. And most, 99% almost,
Ah,
of
that's a
mothers
statistic. You
and
just made
fathers
that
who
up.
have a child will grow to love that child,
Yeah, okay.
regardless of how it came about, right? The figures show that a huge percentage of women who kill their child before it's born.
Do you have to
will
keep,
have
Malachy, you've made your
mental
point in relation to the language. You don't have to keep using it, but go on.
Well, I obviously do, because the state is now preparing to do away with the 72 hours waiting period. So it's clear that I do have to keep using that language so that people know exactly what's happening. And the vast majority of people who voted yes in the last referendum in a survey were asked if they knew what was coming down the road, would they have voted yes? And they said no.
Okay, well, stay there, both of you, for a second. Let me go to Angela as well. Angela, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. Stay there, both of you, please. Angela.
I know.
Yeah, you listen to both Fergal and Malachy, ironically enough, two men.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, by the way, guys, but obviously we're talking about
Well, we
abortion, which
can
directly
identify
affects
as women tonight, Niall,
well,
if
it
you want.
directly affects women. This 3-day waiting period,
It
Angela.
directly affects men as well now, because there is a father for every one of
Absolutely.
those children.
Well, no, there isn't actually, because in many cases there are one-night stands and the father walks away. In many cases. Okay, I'm not saying it all. Angela, sorry, I know a
again,
father
Niall,
has
the
to. I
figures
know a
don't-
father has to take part in the action of getting pregnant. No, well, hang on, please. Just let me go to Angela. Angela.
Abortion do not show that they're one-night stands.
Okay, Angela. The 3-day waiting period.
Malice.
Go ahead.
No, I had to wait. I had to wait 2 weeks to travel.
Mm.
It didn't change my mind. I think what people need to realise is women don't just take a pregnancy test and straight away go, that's it, I'm doing it, good luck. That's it. This goes through our mind. This goes through, this is in your head. You know, what do I do? It's not like a complete, like I changed my mind a couple of times before, and it's 20 years this May. 31st of May, 2003, at 11:30 in the morning. Now, I've no regrets. I will say that. I've no regrets. But I'm not going to say that I turned around and said, I'm doing it, that's it, get in a plane and go. 3 days, great. It's like telling someone that they have to wait 3 days. Do you not think that they haven't gone through enough rather than having to wait that? They've already thought about this. It's all gone through their mind what they're going to do. To have to go in and sit down and talk to someone, excuse me, and explain why they're doing it and they want to do it and let them do it. That's
Yeah,
just it.
I agree with you. Actually, I agree that it's the woman's choice. It's their. It's. I mean, unless
What
it's a
about the
very
child?
severe. Yeah, I understand, but at the end of the day,
child not have a
we're
choice?
here. We're here to protect women. We are here to support them.
Are we not here to protect the child?
Yes, of course we're here to protect the child. Yes, but we're
Well, what do
also
you want
fundamentally
What's
well,
the alternative to the 72
You
hours?
both started off agreeing with each other. Now you're disagreeing with each other. Sorry, Angela. What are you trying to say there?
Malachy, are you telling me that this should never happen? Should never happen.
It should never happen,
Termination should
exactly.
never happen.
No, there should be no such a thing as terminations.
Malachy, under any, well, hang on. I don't want to didn't want to get into the abortion debate per se, but under any circumstances,
how
Malachy.
can you say that? It's been happening within humanity since day dot.
People have been killing people.
It's part of our ancestral lineage in giving birth and maternity. All Aboriginal cultures abort. That's a fact.
Well, listen, lucky then the Australians done away with them.
But it is a woman's choice on what she.
It's choice. There is a woman and a man. There's
Hold
a mother
on.
and father for every child.
There
And
wasn't
what about
on
the
my
child's
case.
choice? You see,
There wasn't
there was no
on my
father in your case. There was no father.
Oh, there was, but I'm telling you now, he didn't have a choice.
Did,
He
but,
didn't
but,
have a
but,
choice.
but Angela, well, hang on. And if it's not too much of a personal question, you don't have to answer if you don't want. Did he know you were pregnant?
No,
So to this day he'll never have known.
never have known.
Do you,
Oh, well,
and,
then I
That's
don't
a
agree
bad
with that.
reflection on society.
well, I don't. Okay, so Angela, again, I don't want to go into too much of your personal
Yeah.
life, but in
I know.
no, but what the point
I
I'm
know
making
what-
is, do you think that's right? That unless it was somebody that's abusive, or unless somebody that was
Yeah,
very a
it was
danger to
somebody
you.
that was abused.
Okay,
It
well
was somebody that was,
that's fair enough. No problem with that. No issue with
you
that.
know, that man.
Yeah.
So the
That
child, hold
man,
on,
I
because
saw him-
he's abusive.
Malachi,
Because
hold
that
on a
man is
second.
Malachi,
abusive,
give it
the
up.
child should pay the price.
Stop.
Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not
The
what
child
I'm
should
saying. No,
pay the
that's
price.
not what I'm saying, Malachi. And it's quite clear what I'm saying. Angela didn't want to have a relationship with the man. She didn't want to know him. She didn't want to tell him. She didn't want to have something that would link the two of them together and hold them together. And that's why she made the decision she made, because the man was abusive. Okay.
See,
Yeah.
Niall, at the end of the day...
Well,
the
then you go
child
off
is
and
the
marry him.
person in this.
Sorry, Malachi.
Sorry, can I
Because
just
it's a
ask?
dead
Can I
person at the
can
end
I
of it.
ask anybody there if you've seen the video that was recorded years ago about the fetus, the fetus that's being aborted?
No.
Before-
And we'd rather not talk about it on the air. Everybody, I mean, Fergal, there's no need to explain it on the air. People know what an abortion is. They know what a termination of pregnancy is. We've all seen videos.
The thing is, can I just say there to Malachi, right? Malachi, this wasn't, no, hold on a second, Malachi, right? This wasn't a thing that I accepted. This isn't a thing. No, Malachi,
Well,
listen.
Malachi, please listen to what she's saying, please.
Malachi, I didn't consent to having sex with him that night. And you expected me to have that child.
So the
Okay.
child pays the price for the crimes of the father.
Malachi, where is your empathy when Angela has just told you that she didn't consent to having sex? In other words, Angela is telling you she was raped. Where is your empathy? The first thing you think about then is the child. Is that the way your mind works? No, Malachi, that is the way your mind is working. So what about Angela? You're very focused on the baby here.
Of course I am.
What about me?
Yeah, but what about
The baby
Angela?
is the one who ends up dead.
What about Angela?
There is no other...
What about Angela, who has just gone through a traumatic event of having sex with no consent, i.e. being raped?
Can I answer the question?
You can. Show a level of
There is no
empathy, will you
other-
please?
There is no other area of law, and we've discussed this on your programme many a time, whether a parent should be responsible for the crimes of a child. Now we're saying that a child should be responsible for the crimes of the father.
Malachi,
to
you're
pay the
full of
price.
crap.
That's what
You
you're
know
saying.
that? You're absolutely full of crap. Why
Well,
should
that's what
I?
you're saying. The child is
go-
dead because
hold
something the
on.
father done.
Malachi,
Isn't that right?
Why should I have to wear a reminder of that every single day of my life? Why
You wouldn't
should
have to
I
wear
have
it.
to
You're,
go
you're
through?
already wearing it every day of your life because of the abortion.
Yeah. So, but
In reality, you
Because
could have had that
I
child
don't
and
want
gave it
to
up for
wear-
adoption.
Well,
because
There was nobody asking you to
oh,
wear it.
Malachi, please, Malachi.
Malachi, I swear to God, do you know what? I always respected you, right? I've always respected your opinions. I've always loved listening to you on Nile. But by God, you're heartless. You are
Well,
heartless.
The child is
not
dead.
Yeah, well, but by the
So,
way, Angela,
first
first of all, Angela, and again, I'm sorry to hear that, Angela. I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's okay. It's
And,
okay.
and did
but
you know?
it-
Did you know the man?
No.
Oh.
No. Didn't know him. Never saw him again.
Okay.
And
Okay.
to be honest, wouldn't know him if he walked up to me right now. You know,
How old were you at the time?
But-
How old were you?
28.
Okay. I'm
You
sorry,
know,
I don't know.
and-
I've no understanding. I'm not even going to try and understand how that feels
No,
or how that
dear.
felt for you at the time.
Niall, I'm honestly, I am so fine. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky that I'm fine with it. But what I don't like
you know.
is someone who comes on and is heartless, basically going, I don't give a crap that you got raped. You should have reared the child.
I didn't say that.
Because that's
Hold
what
on.
Malachi is.
I didn't say you should have reared the child. I said the child could have been given up for adoption.
But why? You see, this actually, do you know what?
you're laughable, Malachy. You're absolutely laughable.
Yeah, we'll put a price tag on its toe, will we?
You know.
You know, a beautiful just ending to this story is that after my partner had the abortion, after we had the abortion together, actually, because she didn't do it on her own, I was with her.
Yeah.
A year to the day that she got pregnant, she was pregnant with our son, who was born a year after that, and we have 2 children together now, and we're getting married next year.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. And people do get through these things.
We've gone on a bit of a tangent around the circle, and we've heard so many personal stories being shared, Fergal, and I appreciate you sharing that story with us as well. And Angela, my empathy goes to you.
Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio, the multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.